Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Out of Scope. I'm Brian Cristiano. Today, I'm going to talk about Periscope. I'm going to talk about how Stephanie Way had her PGA Tour credentials revoked because of it. And I'm going to give my marketing tip of the day on how sports brands can better interact with fans through social media. All you marketers out there need to listen to this.
Sports marketing expert Brian Cristiano.
Brian Cristiano.
Brian Cristiano.
Marketers and advertisers and brands always have to keep in mind, you have to play to the state of your audience. Endurance sports athletes are absolutely fanatics.
Having a Facebook page doesn't get you any business, but doing it right can be quite effective.
All right, so anybody that has been living under a rock that doesn't know what Periscope or Meerkat is, I'm going to tell you right now. It is live streaming video through Twitter. Now Meerkat's on Facebook, or they're about to be. They partnered up with them. Basically, you can just live stream anything you want from your phone. We're live on Periscope right now, so we're doing this with our show. Very, very new. It's really only taken off after last month, and people don't really understand what it is, how to use it. We're still figuring it out. I'm trying to figure out what people like for this show, just personally playing around with it. Actually, what was really interesting is last weekend, I just posted myself eating a Pop-Tart for 20 minutes, and it was the most amount of followers I had. I had 140 people watching me eat a Pop-Tart. It's really interesting stuff. So I think it's very entertainment-based. I see a lot of people watching sports broadcasters, behind the scenes stuff. ESPN's been doing a really good job. I know Sports Illustrated, some of the writers there have been doing a really great job of posting content. But it's really interesting technology. I think it's taking off. There's no way to know exactly where it's going to go yet because it's so new, but it's definitely going somewhere. I think it's going to be one of the new mediums for social in the next couple of years. We're not going to Why type anything out when you can just talk to it live and talk to a fan base? And I think what's really interesting about it and why why this is catching on like wildfire is because people love reality TV. Why? Because they kind of want to see what everyone else is doing. They want to know what's going on. They want to feel like they're part of someone else's life. They want to say, oh, well, I'm not that person, or that person's cool, or look at this asshole. You know, blatantly, that's why people watch this stuff, right? And I think that Periscope, Meerkat, any of those other technologies that are allowing this live streaming is kind of creating reality TV live on the spot for anybody around the world in any position. And I think that that's why people are really going to love this, because you can tune into anybody and anything. The other day I was watching a live tornado. I mean, it's destructive and scary stuff, but I was watching a live tornado from somebody in their car. That's insane. You don't get that. It's faster than news now. So it's going to be massive. It's already starting to pick up a lot of momentum, and we're using it. I mean, it's very interesting. We're playing around with it, and apparently Pop-Tarts are popular on Periscope. I don't know why. But what does this mean for sports leagues, and how are they reacting? Well, it's really interesting because, and I understand from a business perspective, there's a lot of problems with broadcast rights and people putting out the same content live on the web where anyone can watch it. I know that the May-Pac fight, a lot of people were just broadcasting on Periscope and Meerkat the broadcast. Now, it kind of looks crappy, but if you just wanted to see what was going on, you could see it if you didn't want to pay the $100. Which I did. I'm not sure exactly how I feel still about that $100. My cable hasn't come in yet. I think I'm going to regret it when I get it. Not taking any credit away from either of those fighters. It was interesting to watch, but it wasn't as flashy as I had hoped. But that's the problem, is anybody can show anything at any time, whether it's ripping off a broadcast, whether it's behind the scenes. And broadcasters, sports leagues, sports teams are freaking out a little bit, right? We've had the NHL that has said that there's a ban on using Periscope for the NHL games, which I think is a really, really stupid move on the NHL's part. I'll talk about that in a little while. And the other big one is the PGA has banned it. The NBA, the NFL, they've all kind of given their boilerplate legalese on how they feel about the matter. That they don't want to infringe on broadcast rights. However, they're all, I think, kind of in that same boat. They're these huge organizations. They're very old school, especially the PGA, NHL as well, and trying to say, hey, we need to stop this. I think it's a super bad move. These organizations need to figure out how to embrace it. They need to figure out how to embrace it now, today, yesterday, and they need to figure out how to incorporate it into their media, incorporate it into all of the things that they do for fans. That's what people want to see. They're afraid that it's going to take away from people going to the games. They're afraid that it's going to take away from people watching the games on TV. I can tell you right now, it is not. Anyone that's watching behind the scenes footage live on Periscope isn't going to say, oh, well, now I don't have to go watch the game. Well, if they're watching that, they're probably much more likely to go to that game later or go watch that game or broadcast because they want to be that involved. So these teams need to stop thinking about that. And I think the biggest case happened about a week and a half ago was Stephanie Way. And she is a golf sports reporter and broadcaster. I know she's done a lot of work with Sports Illustrated. With golf is her number one thing. She's been in that for a very long time. She's incredibly well respected. A lot of people in golf and sports know her very well. She's done incredible work over there. And she's been trying to incorporate new technology and allow her following and golf fans to kind of play along and to see what's been happening. She used Instagram to post some stuff a while back. She got a little bit of a slap on the wrist from the PGA for that. When Periscope came out, she was broadcasting some practice rounds, not an actual game, but practice rounds on a Monday that she believed did not interfere with the broadcast rights at all, which I agree with her. And the PGA decided that they were going to revoke her credential for the entire year. What kind of a knee-jerk and ridiculous reaction is that? Wait a second. So you mean that fans were actually watching live practice, and the PGA Tour says, wait, we don't want this out there? For what reason? They're not airing it on TV, number one. Number two, why do you not want to engage your fan base? Why do people that are hungry to see this content, that want to see the practices, that want to see the behind the scenes, why are we trying to restrict that? I really don't understand what the PGA's move is on this. Well, let me backtrack. I can completely understand what their move is on this. They're freaking out. It's an old school organization. It's old school mindset. It's big corporatocracy nonsense that says, hey, look, we have this big medium, this big broadcast channel. We have a lockdown on this. We can't let these little things get out of our control. We have to hold on to it. Well, guess what, PGA? It's happening. PGA Tour, it doesn't matter how big, how many lawyers, it doesn't matter. This stuff is taking over. This is like the 90s when people could finally record on CDs and were freaking out because, oh God, everyone's going to rip off the music industry. Well, they were freaked out then. They freaked out when you could record on cassette tapes, and then they definitely freaked out when iTunes came out, and they're still freaking out about it now with live streaming of music. It's the same deal, it's the same people, it's the same mindset, and it's ridiculous. If they just play into it and figure out how to use these channels to help their purpose, if they try to figure out how to use this to give more to the fans, they're going to end up with more people watching. You're going to end up with more people going to the PGA Tour, more people tuning in, not less. But they try to strike it out now. I'm sorry, you're going to get caught behind. So with that, I'm going to get in my tip of the day. This is my marketing tip of the day on Out of Scope. How can brands and sports teams better engage fans on social media and use it to their advantage? Very, very simple, actually. They need to not try to push away from this technology. Periscope, perfect example. Meerkat, perfect example. Even Instagram, Snapchat, all of these things, right? There are all these different platforms. They're a little bit overwhelming because there's so many of them and they take up time. But you know what? Fans, especially in sports, they want to see that stuff, right? They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see the stuff they can't see on the broadcast. They want to see the things they can't see at the game. They want to see the intimate moments where players are being honest, they're being raw, they're being angry, they're being happy, they're practicing, they're out there working hard. And how do you do this specifically? I think Periscope, I think Meerkat, whichever one you want to use, or use both, I think that's the perfect start for any of these teams. Some of them are jumping on board, but it's far and few between right now. And I think that the teams that get on this right now, they're going to have a huge advantage. And the reality is they should be doing it as much as they can. Doesn't necessarily need to be during the broadcast. I get it. I understand there's a lot of issues around that. But before, after, practices, everybody wants to see this. I want to see this stuff in the locker rooms after the game. I want to see the behind the scenes of the presser. I want to see practice out on the field, running drills, talking to them, the coaches' speeches. That's what I want to see, and that's what other fans want to see too, right? Sports fans are so passionate. That's why this space, sports marketing, is awesome, because the fans are so passionate. I'm passionate. Everybody's passionate, right? But they want to see this stuff. Give it to them. The fear from these brands, from these teams, from these leagues is that if they give this content away for free, that these fans are just going to use up the free stuff. Has that ever happened ever? No. Didn't happen with music, didn't happen with movies. I know everybody's going to argue and say, oh, that's exactly what happened with music. That's exactly what happened with movies. No, it's just changed. And the people and the companies that have adapted to the change in the technology are winning, right? So these teams can win. They should win. I think, of course, obviously the PGA Tour needs to get on board. They need to change that. Ridiculous. They need to give Stephanie Way her credentials back, number one. They need to get her out there and say, hey, you know what? You're our new Periscope liaison. You're going to do this stuff behind the scenes. I think they need to do stuff like that. I think that the NHL, especially, man, talk about an old school organization that's losing people's attention span. They need to get on this. They need to be using this to gain fans, to gain people that want to see hockey. They want to be involved. And they go, oh man, I didn't realize this was so cool. The teams also need to figure out how they can get their players, especially their star players, involved in social media on a constant basis. And I'm not just talking about Periscope. I'm not just talking about Meerkat. Instagram, Vine videos, Snapchat photos, anything. It doesn't matter. People, fans, they just want to see the stuff, right? Pick a channel, pick 2 channels, pick all the channels. It doesn't really matter. Just put it out there, right? Be raw, be honest, be truthful, real behind the scenes stuff, not stage stuff. Sure, sometimes that's fun, sometimes that's cool, fans dig it. But if they start putting out genuine behind the scenes content, letting their players, people at the organization talk about stuff, show stuff, they're going to be surprised at how many people follow this, get into it, and get more excited about that team, get more excited about that sport, that league, and then end up becoming super fans. And that's the key. They need to look at this as the long-term play, which is we need to generate all of this awesome content, behind-the-scenes stuff that you don't get to see during the game, you don't get to see on TV. Put it all out there. And guess what? You're going to get more people that want to see the actual game on TV because now they know the players. That, I think, is the biggest key, right? All this social media gets to kind of take the mask and unveil these organizations, unveil these players, so people can really genuinely get to know the organization, who's working there, what the players are like off the field when they don't have a broadcast camera in their face. And then you know what? It's going to create deep relationships that people didn't even know existed before. And the teams, the players, the marketers, the people that can get behind this and do it right, it's going to work really well. So get on social, get on Periscope. If you're a team, get on Periscope. If you're not on there, and I know a lot of the teams have already kind of scooped up their Periscope handle, use it. You should be using it all day. It should be at their practice. It should be behind the scenes, locker rooms. If it gets a little bit out of hand, great, awesome, cut it off. But let it go. Let it be real, and don't be afraid. Don't be lawyery about it. Go for it. Let the content speak. You're gonna get fans. It's gonna be awesome. And let's just have some fun. Thank you so much for watching the show. Episode 2 of Out of Scope. Really, really, really big thank you. Subscribe, comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you hate. In all honesty, we're working on how this show is going to go, and I'm really excited to see where it goes, and hopefully we gain some more traction. And thank you, everybody that tuned into the first one. Thank you, anybody and everybody that's watching live on Periscope and Meerkat. We're on both. And thank you for anybody that watches this later on the site or on YouTube. Appreciate it. How's my hair? Do I look good? You guys can talk. You guys don't have to be quiet. Seriously.
Looks good.
Yeah. All right, cool.